Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of CB4 resecure the mosh pit of Cutlass Keys in the name of the Marauders. KOTT News were on the scene in Cutlass, but were unable to secure an interview through City Hall. We even stopped by the mosh pit, but no one was to be found. KOTT News will bring you more on this story as it develops. Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Medley Fair event, all the pastries are prepared, but some help cleaning up would be appreciated. Once again, citizens should remove the buckets of water from their hotbar in order to clean the ovens. Oh wait, just one oven. It's one little oven for all this food. For all you people, everybody's eating from one little oven. KOTT News would like to thank Bows Before Hoes in their patient efforts to navigate the Genesis expedition last night. As such, they are this week's Citizen of the Week. Looking at the weather, and it's going to be another day of sunshine throughout the land once again, with unusual magnetic activity leading to a 20% chance of invasion at the island's tips. Only one roster submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of Spudbuds smash and grab at the Syndicate forces of Barely Friends for control of the island's financial capital of Windsward. Spudbud forces have been slowly regrouping after the megastorm 3 weeks ago, and now that the emergency is over, they make a sincere attempt to capture more land. The forces of Barely Friends have been standing guard over the Syndicate since the storm subsided, helping other companies grow across the island. Tonight's roster should be stacked. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum since the forces of Barely Friends were able to hold off the conviction of the Covenant forces of Spudbuds in Windsward 2 nights ago. Last night's peace gave KOTT News crews the opportunity to catch up on some other creative endeavors, so be sure to check those out for something a little different. Turning quickly to the weather, and after a long morning of sunshine that will stretch well into afternoon across Eternum, late evening cold fronts will descend from the northern mountains, bringing corrupted invasions with them. Another roster submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Syndicate forces of Be Gentle assail the Marauders of CB4 for control of the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. I'm not sure if the forces of Be Gentle understand what they're getting themselves into tonight in the mosh pit, but it will not be gentle. For the forces of CB4, their first defense of the region since taking it from the Censored 2 days ago, and they're not willing to give up the pit. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of CB4 squelched the uprising in the mosh pit and retained control of the keys. And more importantly, control of the region with the island's latest hotspot, here, by the Admiral's Shrine. As you can see, citizens have been camping out in line awaiting the grand opening of the new expedition releasing today. It's called the Barnacles and Black Powder Expedition, and it has everyone excited about the promises of gold. A local merchant will pay handsomely for exceptional items plundered from the expedition, but he is extremely meticulous in grading. Citizens seeking to aid in the conquest of the infamous Admiral Black Powder should be sure to check in at the Acting Command Center, where cross-factional emergency responder Wally Wittershins has set up a briefing station for aspiring champions of Eternum. Of course, if all you want is gold, Simply gather your friends and follow the trail of gold to the end of the dock, where this unassuming dinghy awaits, to ferry you to the latest unexplored expedition, barnacles and black powder. Turning to the weather, and it's looking like the sun will shine on all day long for those of you standing in line for the new expedition. But for those of you seeking to protect the hamlets from invasions, a 30% chance will arise later on this evening. 2 submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Marauders of Ghosts of Tarshish challenge the champs of the Censored for their heavyweight title and the right to rule over Everfall. For the first time since the Mega Storm, Ghosts of Tarshish make a move to expand their kingdom, having been left alone to train these last 2 weeks. They'll be coming in fresh. For the forces of Censored, a win tonight gives them 3 straight and gets them warmed up to prepare to make a serious Neverfall run. They'll be coming in focused. Then, the Marauders of CB4 assail the Covenant forces of Spudbuds for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. Gusto and the boys are riding high off the Victory and Cutlass Keys last night. Securing their land has them fired up to expand. For the reigning Spice Lords of Spudbuds, retaining the abundant spice fields filled with hyssop is their top priority in order to manufacture all the potions they'll need for the new expedition. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as the forces of Spudbuds managed to hold off the Marauders of CB4 and retain control of the spice. And the champs retained their title belt for another day and set their eyes north on the bear-infested deep forests. We caught up with Censored leadership after the bout. Congratulations on your victory tonight, my friends. That marks 3 straight defends of the hamlet of Everfall. How's it feel to be so far into a streak?
Well, yeah, and I feel well rested after that fight. Kind of a snooze fest out of there. You know, go tell them to gather some more yellows and greens. Push together. Give us the real fight here at Everfall. Our guys are itching for a good fight.
It sounds to me like you're not even warmed up yet, and you still have got a good 5 or 6 left to defend. Do you think you can hold this to the new record?
Of course. We're here to have some fun, clap some skulls, and we welcome any challengers.
Is there anyone on your team whose efforts you'd like to highlight while I got you here?
Yo, our boy Hal came out of vacation mode, come play with the boys, so respect to Hal.
Excellent. Is there anything else you have in store for the hamlet coming up that the citizens might want to know about?
I think we're going to go turn our fight on to Brightwood.
Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Medley Fair event, KOTT News crews spoke with poet Blaze Thomas and exchanged jokes. And the guy says, "Wrecked him, Your Honor. Darn near killed him." KOTT News would like to inform its subscribers about a St. Jude charity event tonight on Twitch. Be sure to tune in tonight to Work 2 Games if you've got a free Prime sub to donate to St. Jude's. Turning to the weather, and after another beautiful day for minstrels and expeditionists alike, late evening magnetic activity will give rise to a 20% chance of invasion at the island's tips. One lineup submitted for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of Tropical XXX assault the Syndicate forces of Barely Friends for control of the island's financial capital of Windsward. Tropical forces make a play on snatching the vault in their efforts to secure additional funding for their future ambitions. The forces of Barely Friends have been maintaining the hamlet and defending its citizens diligently, and they're confident in their security forces. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the security forces of Barely Friends managed to keep the vault locked down and retain the financial capital of Windsward. KOTT Studios were experiencing an electrical haboob and monsoon last night, so were unable to secure a connection, let alone an interview. Speaking of the weather, it looks like Eternum will experience sunshine all day long again, well into late afternoon. But look out later, as a southern tropical storm will drive corruption to seek cover along the coastal shores. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Syndicate forces of 13th Reason assail the Covenant forces of Tropical X in order to capture the master fishing port town of Reekwater. 13 Reasons make their first official declaration after participating in several winning compositions as mercenary forces. They've earned their fair shot at acquiring some land. The forces of Tropical X have managed to maintain the swamps of Reekwater with little interference. This is only their third defense in as many weeks. They're sure to be rested and prepared. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of Tropical X turn away 13th Reason and retain the master fishing port town of Reekwater. We caught up with the members of Tropical X celebrating on the steps of City Hall. Congratulations out there, my friend. Excellent war as always. A little bulletin board material for you this week. How do you think it went out there?
You know what? It was so much fun. This is a great example of like the community coming together. We had our friends at, we even had CB4, which is, part of the Green. We have Wiley Inept Pacifist, Trap Chat, Most Wanted. We even had Governor Wakanda. We just all played well. We played together. It was a good time. We gave up a point, and then we gave up another point, and then we kind of just had fun on the field, and we kept it. We kept it light. We kept it fun. And it worked out.
All right. Well, I always have to kind of catch up on the official formalities when I've got the governor here. You never know. There might be, like, for example, this bypass system over here. Is this temporary, or do you think you might be able to keep it here for a while longer?
I'm asking for it. I'm also asking for another ramp that goes up to the trading post, which has been requested by so many people here at Reekwater. So hopefully we get both.
Tropical leadership wants to remind the citizens that their safety is a priority, so if the bridge is unstable, it will come down. More on this story as it develops. Turning to the weather, and once again, our solar-fueled friend flies across the Eternum sky throughout the day. But look out after dusk when the temperatures drop, and a northern cold front from the mountains will dredge up a 30% chance of invasion. Yet another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard. Tonight, the Syndicate forces of Hell House 2 assault the Covenant forces of the Trap Chat for control of the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. Marching into the woods with new and improved Dr. Bombastus Bear Repellent, now with 20% more secret ingredient, the newcomers of Hell House 2 feel prepared to take the keep. It has been nearly a week since Trap Chat's last hold of the hamlet, so they're sure to be fresh and ready when the Syndicate come at them, drenched in bear repellent. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of the Trap Chat hold off the Syndicate and retain control of the deep forests of Brightwood. KOTT News crews caught up with Trap Chat leadership after the fight to ask them how it went. Nice fight out there tonight. How do you think it went?
Oh, it went pretty well actually. We brought some strong forces to fight theirs, and today they took 2 points. I think they're getting better.
Was there anybody out there whose efforts you might like to highlight?
Yeah, actually, I think our point teams today did very good. I believe that my fellow partner Tig Grizzly was a part of them. So I
appreciate it. I'm blushing right now.
His whole 5-man honestly did fantastic. Today we lost B. I'm not too sure how we lost it, but they did it well. I think they cut us on a bad respawn wave, and they caught it, but we hold C down.
Returning to ongoing coverage of the Medley Fair event, final preparations for tonight's talent show are ready. Citizens who haven't created a trophy memento for themselves yet are reminded to do so soon. If you haven't participated in the fair yet, fear not, as the event organizer is still in need of last-minute things that you can complete. Looking now at the weather, and if but for the occasional megastorm, you'd swear the sun never doesn't show up. But double negatives aren't the only thing you'll be tripping over later if you aren't careful of the 30% chance of invasion late. No submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight. Brought to you by Peace. But we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, though light skirmishes lead to declarations of war tonight. KOTT news crews were on the scene in Restless Shore, while civic leaders took advantage of the downtime to take on a beautification project. The new landscaping should also assist in keeping turkey and rabbit out of the hamlet. Turning to the weather, and it looks like today is going to be yet another perfectly sunny day all day long. But look out tonight for magnetic confluences causing corruption invasions at the tips of the island. 3 submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Marauders of Dragoon Heathens assail the Covenant forces of the Spudbuds for control of First Light and the flow of the Spice. The newcomers of Dragoon Heathens use the staging grounds in Cutlass Keys to launch a surprise assault on the Spice Lords, but will the Blitzkrieg secure land? Having consolidated their forces into maintaining control of the island's spice flow, the Spudbuds are prepared to give their all to defend the southern peninsula. Then, the Marauders of Nirvana break into the vault of Barely Friends and attempt to steal away the financial capital of Windsward. The newcomers of Nirvana make their first official land grab by focusing on securing Windsward and its bountiful income for funding of future endeavors. But the forces of Barely Friends are a highly trained group of vault security personnel. They'll be well prepared for any mere petty theft. Meanwhile, the Covenant forces of Tropical challenge the Syndicate champions of the Censored for their heavyweight title and the right to rule over Everfall. Hailing from the swamps of Reekwater, this returning challenger has had 2 weeks to improve their technique. But will it be enough against the champs? For the defending heavyweight champions of the Censored, they've called out the island and stand confident in their ability to knock out all comers. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.